Hello there, everybody. I'm Mel Allen, and this is Baseball Collector.
Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, Baseball Collector, and tonight I'm going to do a showcase video, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. Normally when I do a showcase video, I like to show all the cards that I have of a particular player, and tonight I'm going to just do it a little bit different, where I show you kind of and talk about the entire career and cardboard history and maybe a little bit of history of someone who I consider one of the greatest players of all time, and that's Ted Williams, the splendid splinter, the kid. He was such an amazing guy, had such an amazing career, played for the Boston Red Sox his entire career, 19 years that he played. He lost three and a half seasons to serving in the military during World War II and the Korean War, but he still hit .344 for his career. He had 521 home runs. He has the highest on-base percentage for his career all time at .482. Just insane. Won 2 American League Valuable Player Awards, although you could argue he should have won several more. Won the batting title 6 times and won the Triple Crown twice. So Teddy Ballgame, as they like to say, had an amazing career, and his cardboard career is pretty fascinating to me. He's one of those players that you don't see very often that would appear in both pre-war and post-war issues. And he was left out of a lot of sets. So he's got this interesting career that I'd love to talk about and give you kind of some details about it. So let's kind of jump right in and take a look at everything. So the first card I want to talk about here is the often overlooked 1939 Goudey Premiums card. And here's a scan of it. It is an absolutely gorgeous card, sepia toned. It just has a wonderful image of Ted Williams swinging, and it is a rookie card. 39 was his first year, but for some reason this card doesn't get the same notoriety as his play ball card. So let's look at his play ball card. This is just a gorgeous card here too. Again, that corkscrew swing that Ted Williams used to have, and this is kind of his only recognized rookie card, and it's very, very popular, very high atop many collectors' want lists, and it's one of his most valuable cards out there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. 39 play ball there. Next up, you got the 1940 play ball, which if you follow my channel at all, you know that I collect the 1940 play ball and try to get all the Hall of Famers, and this card is one of the toughies, one of the more expensive cards, along with Joe DiMaggio. And I just love the way this card looks. I love the look of 41 play ball overall. Black and white picture, headshot, with its, in quotes, it says Ted. Just a great card here. Next up is the 1941 play ball. If it looks familiar, it is. It's pretty much the same image as the 1940 play ball, which happened a lot between 40 play ball and 41 play ball with different players. They pretty much used the same image, only they colorized it, kind of made it look kind of cartoonish and added, colored backgrounds and stuff like that. 41 was an amazing year for Ted Williams because it's the year that he hit .406, and it's famously known that Williams went into the last day of the season hitting .39955, which would have rounded up to 400. His manager Joe Cronin asked him, "Hey, do you want to take the day off?" Williams said, "Nope." He didn't want to. Basically, I don't want to do it that way, and so he went out and was 6 for 8 in a doubleheader and ended up hitting .406. What's not known about that season, which is interesting, back then sacrifice flies were considered at bats. And so it's widely considered that if they had not been counted as at-bats like they are now, just plate appearances, then Ted Williams would have hit like between .411 and .419, which is just crazy to think that a modern player could hit that high of an average. Unbelievable. What's funny also about the 1941 season is amazing a year as Ted Williams had. He didn't even win the MVP award. That went to Joe DiMaggio, of course, who had the famous 56-game hitting streak in the same year. But there's the 41 play ball. So then you get into this kind of the dark ages of cardboard. After 41 play ball, there's not really any major sets issued for the next 7 years. And there's just kind of this empty space of time where baseball cards weren't being produced due to World War II. And so you really don't have the next big set to come out until 1948. And in that set, you had two issues in 48. You had Leaf and you had Bowman. And Ted has a Leaf card. His 1948 Leaf card, as you can see here, is just gorgeous. The red color is just pow. And it's got such amazing cards in this set. You got Jackie Robinson and Satchel Paige, and it's one of the greatest baseball card sets ever. This is a really hard card to find centered. There's a lot of print defects and things like that in this set, but the imagery and coloration here just really gives this card amazing eye appeal. The next card I want to show you is 1950 Bowman. Hey, look, I actually have one that we can look at. Let me get this a little bit better here. So I just bought this 50 Bowman a couple of days ago at the Dallas Card Show from Mike, and love this card. This is a 3.5. Again, you got the nice swing from Ted. It's just a great simple set. You got Fenway Park in the background. Just really, really cool. This card is also pretty condition sensitive. Mine, as you can see, is pretty well centered. It's got some corner issues, but just a great baseball card. Next up is, it's going to look really familiar because you got that card, and then you've got the 51 Bowman Ted Williams. And the reason it looks so interesting is they're just about the same image. It's a little bit more cropped on the 51 Bowman and a little zoomed in. And they also, what's funny, let me put this back up so I can point this out because it'll be interesting to see. Notice that in the 51 Bowman, there's actually clouds in the picture that they added. And it must have been a sunny day on the 1950 Bowman because there's no clouds. But the 51 Bowman is, again, one of those just amazingly awesome sets. And I really, really love this one as well. All right, let me get rid of that. So there's no Topps cards early on. Ted Williams did not sign a Topps contract for 51, 52, 53 Topps. He does have a 52 card that's pretty popular, and it's this one right here. It's the Burke Ross. And it's pretty plain and straightforward compared to some of his other cards, but it's still a great card that really any collector would love to have. Kind of just a little headshot, light blue background, just really simple, nice card. So that's pretty much the only 52 card that he has. And then you get to 1953, and there's, again, no 53 Topps. But I got this today in the mail, and I'm excited to show it off because I'm really thrilled to add this. I'm just going to kind of hold this right here. And this is a, let me move this and I can put this back a little. So what this is a 1953 Canadian Exhibits Ted Williams. And there's two versions of the Ted Williams. There's a red tint and I think it's a green tint or something. A lot of people are familiar with the Exhibits cards that were issued from like 44 to 66. They were issued for a long time. Well, this is a Canadian version. And this is the only card of Ted in 1953. And so I got this today. It's an excellent 5, which is a really nice grade for this card. Very solid collector grade. These are pretty hard to come by, honestly. I found this one. I was thrilled to buy it. I just thought it'd be a unique, awesome addition to my Ted Williams collection. And again, just beautiful swing. Amazing. Very cool card. I actually missed a 52 card that I wanted to talk about, and it's an oddball issue that I know Dave Blue Jacket 66 would love. It's the 1952 Redman Tobacco card. And again, these are really, really hard cards to find, especially with the stub along the bottom, because you could take the stub and send it in and get basically a cap of your favorite team. And so a lot of them are missing that tab at the bottom. And this is just a really cool baseball card, simple and really, really neat. So now we get into 1954, and this card here, the 1954 Bowman, is one of Ted's most famous cards, really because of the story behind it. Bowman was originally lined up to have Williams as part of their set, number 66 in the set, but he remained under contract with Topps, and he had signed a Topps contract, exclusive Topps contract, and so Bowman had to pull this card and replace it with number 66, Jimmy Pearsall. And it makes this card really rare because it wasn't printed the whole time, lower print qualities, or print quantities, not qualities. And so this is a really, really, really expensive Ted Williams card. It's a beautiful baseball card too, as you can see. And so, man, would love to own this card. It's a great card. Now we get into Topps, and Topps being a part of the Ted Williams run. His first Topps card is the 1954 number 1. Topps was so excited to have Ted Williams in their sets that they actually bookended their set in 54. Ted Williams has card number 1, as well as the last card in the set, card number 250. And so both of these cards, both of the Ted Williams cards, are fairly valuable because, again, back then, cards number 1 and the last card had rubber bands around them a lot of the times as kids would collect them, and so incredibly condition sensitive because they're the first and last cards. And then you got the orange there, and then the yellow one here for 54. And this is a 2.5 for me, and it's a just another gorgeous baseball card. I love the Red Sox logo on these, and you just got the yellow that just pops. Different picture. Actually, it's the same picture that they use coming up here on the next few cards of Ted Williams. So there's the 54 Topps. Before I keep going with some Topps, I've got to show this card right here, and it's the 1954 Wilson Franks oddball card. This might be one of his most valuable, certainly, and easily recognized oddball issues that Ted Williams ever had. It was common to have kind of regional food issues back then. Cards were packed with meats and cookies and potato chips and you name it. And so this one, though, was put into hot dogs, and you can imagine how condition sensitive that made it. Staining and just horrible to think about baseball cards being stuck inside a pack of hot dogs, but it did. It's this card, though, to me is just so gorgeous. I know some collectors that don't like it. I personally think it's amazing and just absolutely gorgeous. All right, now here we go with continuing on a little bit of Topps run here. 55 Topps. You'll notice the headshot there is the same shot from the number 250 in the 54 Topps, even though it's horizontal. So they got a little bit different action imagery on this one, but it's still just a great color combination. It's really awesome. Great card here. Next, we got 1956 Topps. And man, this card I think could be so much better, but Topps, again, uses the same image, the same headshot that they used in 54 and 55. It'd be really nice to have something different, but the action shot is still pretty cool, and he's just kind of watching a home run sail into the seats. But it's this card either comes in a white back or gray back. The gray backs are a little bit more rare, but overall just a gorgeous baseball card. Next up is a card that I have here, and that is 1957 Topps. I have a lot of 3.5s, but what's interesting about this is it's a very similar pose to the 50 and 51 Bowmans, but This is card number 1, so obviously Ted Williams was having an amazing career, and so they launched their 57 set with Ted Williams. And but again, that makes this card even more condition sensitive because, it's the first card in the set, and as kids were putting them in order, these cards would get kind of dinged up. All right, next up, 1958 Topps. You can see it here. Look at that serious looking pose, that serious looking stare that Ted Williams has. But the yellow background really gives it a warm feel. It's a great card, but you can get a lot of print defects. 58 Topps has a lot of those, a lot of snowing that can be on these cards, and so just be aware of that. And this is pretty much the last time that Ted Williams would be featured in Topps as a player. He has a 58 All-Star card as well, which is a really cool card. But then after the 1958 season, Ted signs a deal with Fleer. And so here's one of the cards. I only have one of these. My goal is to start really working on this set. It's a 80 card set. And it's just really gorgeous. It shows a bunch of pictures of Ted throughout his career. This one happens to be a shot from 1956 when Ted hit his 400th home run. I love the design of these. It's incredibly simple. It's got a lot of shots in this set of Ted fishing. He was an avid fisherman. In fact, he's in like some fisherman's Hall of Fame, and he just loved to fish. So there's a lot of just kind of casual shots of Ted and a lot of milestones of his career that are being highlighted in this set. And this happens to be card number 57. These are actually pretty easy to get. So if you think in terms of getting a player era card of an amazing Hall of Famer, this one's not a bad one to get. Or a card from this set. You can go find them readily on eBay, and I just happen to like this one. Now there's another card from this set. Let me pull this out of the way. That's really hard to get, and it's this one right here. And it's Ted signs for 59. And the reason why this card is so bloody expensive, and it's actually a card that's in the top 300 by Mike Payne, is because that it shows him here with GM Bucky Harris for the Red Sox, their general manager, as he's signing his contract. But at the time, Bucky Harris was signed exclusively with Topps. And so they had to pull this card from production as well, and therefore it's a really rare card, but a very cool card nonetheless. Would love to own it, maybe someday. I hope to get it. All right, then the last card issued of Ted Williams during his playing career is this one here, 1960 Fleer. What's interesting about this card is that it's got this thick white border. None of the other cards in the 60 Fleer set have that. It's just kind of interesting. It's got star-studded set here, all greats of the game: Christy Mathewson, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, and this is just a really cool card. It is very condition sensitive. Those white white edges really show anything that could be wrong with it. And even though 1960 would be his last year, he still hit .316, 29 home runs, 75 RBIs, and he got his last All-Star nomination, which was his 19th. Unbelievable. 19-time All-Star. So there you go. Here we go. Next up. That wasn't the end of Ted Williams on baseball cards. In 1969, Ted became the manager of the Washington Senators. And so late in their 1969 Topps, they included this manager card of Ted. It's also part of the top 300 cards by Mike Payne. It's an Endearment 7, and pretty easy card to get. Very cool. Also in the 69 set, they had this card here, Ted Shows How. It's got Ted Williams and Mike Epstein. And what's interesting about this is this kind of epitomizes Ted Williams' managerial career. Although with the Senators, he actually led them to a over 500 record and was manager of the year one year. Overall, he really didn't cut it as a manager. He would get frustrated. especially with pitchers, but he was just kind of like, how can these guys, mediocre players, they weren't Ted Williams, and he would be trying to teach them how to hit and get frustrated. And I mean, I can totally get it, but no one's going to hit like him. Next up, he was also in the 1970 top set as a manager. He's in the 71 top set, but I don't have that. But I do have this card, and this is a really special card to me because Ted was also the manager, the first manager actually, of the expansion Texas Rangers when they moved from Washington to Arlington, and he was their manager, and that was really, really cool. They were terrible, but it was neat to have a guy like Ted Williams as the manager for the team. And that brings me to this next item that I got today. I'm actually going to show a scan of it because it'll show up better. But this is a program from 1972. I got this today from a gentleman named Dan who sold it to me. He found me on Instagram and decided to sell this to me. And it's a 1972 program from the Texas Rangers. And if you look up in the top right, under the Rangers, you can see that Ted Williams has signed it. And I just think that's fantastic. I absolutely love it. So cool to add that to my collection. I'm really grateful that Dan made a deal with me for that. Ted also has some kind of mid-70s cards that are out there if you want to try to go get them. This one here, 1975 SSPC Superstars. This SSPC set has tons of players in it, and it's cool that Ted Williams is there. What I also think is cool about it is he's pictured in a Rangers uniform as their manager. I think that's ironic. These cards are incredibly easy to get in a high grade too. I mean, I got a 9, and I don't remember it being that expensive. In 1976, right here, Ted Williams was included in the all-time All-Stars kind of subset that they did that year, with the likes of Ruth and Cobb and a bunch of guys, and Ted Williams was on there. And I think that's actually the same picture. If you would crop that picture in, that would be the same picture that's on like his 54 tops. Let's look. Maybe it is. Let's take a look. I think it might be. So, or maybe, no, maybe. It's pretty close. Maybe he just smiled the same all the time. I don't know. But neat card to have of Ted Williams in the 1976 top set. It's really cool. Then Ted Williams was a prolific signer for autographs, and so I would be remiss as a Hall of Fame autograph guy, which is my primary PC, to not show a few Ted Williams autographs. I just showed you the program that signed, which I think is awesome. I have him on the 1983 Donruss Hall of Fame Heroes set. This is just gorgeous, PSA DNA certified, authentic. Just so glad to have this. I have 10 Ted Williams autographs in my collection total. I'll just show you a few of them. And let me move this. I have the Ted Williams Celebration Prez Steel, and that's in a mint 9 right there. I love that. I have the Hall of Fame postcard as well. I just don't have it pulled out, but you can kind of get an idea there. And the last item I have signed by Ted Williams, let me get it out here, is a wonderful gift that I got from my good friend Dave, who you guys know is Blue Jacket 66. He sent me one of the most amazing care packages ever some time ago, and the highlight of it was this right here, a beautifully signed Sweet Spot Ted Williams baseball. So I don't really do baseballs as part of my collection, but man, how can you not love this? I mean, I absolutely love it. And it's something that he had had for a really long time in his collection, and he thought it should be in mine, and I was so just blown away when I got it. So grateful. So there you go, guys. That's kind of the career of Ted Williams through cardboard. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I love doing these kind of videos. Let me know who else you'd like to see me do something kind of in-depth like this, what other players you'd like to see. And we will talk to you guys soon. Have a good night and keep collecting.